when an asylum seeker is rejected but remains in Canada, they continue receiving benefits that are better than what most Canadians receive and what they are entitled to.
It's true that until someone leaves Canada after exhausting all avenues for appeal, they would still, it's understanding from the guidance we've received that they would still receive those benefits.
Can you understand why Canadians are really frustrated and mad about this program? Like, the government's website states that refugee claimants remain eligible for supplemental health benefits even after their claim has been rejected by the Immigration and Refugee Board. Is that your understanding in the report?
Yeah, so I think, like we've mentioned in our opening remarks, our cost estimate includes the cost for all eligible beneficiaries, no matter where they are in the process. And we've modeled, according to the guidance we've received for IRCC, about when beneficiaries would exit the program. And so in the case of successful claimants, that would be when they would become eligible for provincial or territorial health benefits. In the case of unsuccessful claimant, that would either be when they leave Canada after exhausting all avenues of appeal, they are judged ineligible at the IRB and ineligible for pre-removal risk assessment, or they've withdrawn or abandoned their claim.
This is even for rejected claims, right? They've been rejected. This is including rejected claims.
Yeah, some of those beneficiaries would have had their claim rejected.
So when an asylum seeker is rejected but remains in Canada, they continue receiving benefits that are better than what most Canadians receive and what they are entitled to. And so that continues to increase the cost of the program. Is that correct?
I'm not going to state about the kind of qualifying the benefits, but it's true that until someone leaves Canada after exhausting all avenues for appeal, they would still, it's understanding from the guidance we've received that they would still receive those benefits.
Okay. According to the government's website, refugee claimants remain eligible for supplemental health benefits through this program until they leave Canada. So what happens if they don't leave Canada?
I mean, I'm not necessarily an expert in how the program is administered for specific cases, but the exercise that we've done considered the fact that it's when an individual leaves Canada that their coverage would end.
Once they left Canada, but if they're still in Canada, they would still continue to receive benefits, right? There's nothing really stopping them from receiving benefits.
I suppose that's implied for those information we've received, yeah.
Mr. Jakes, CBC reported that Mustafa El-Didi came to Canada as an asylum seeker in 2020, was granted refugee status in 2022, and does not hold Canadian citizenship, and now is facing terrorism charges set for trial in 2026. Would a refugee status holder in that situation remain eligible for supplemental health benefits through this interim federal health program?
I believe he would, based upon our understanding of the information provided to us by our IRCC. So
we have someone that's he's suspected of terrorism and he's still on this program. Like that is your understanding, right? Like I mean that's what I'm reading. That's like I mean, can you understand why Canadians are really frustrated and mad about this program? Like when you were doing this report, what did you like? When you came across these kind of numbers and what was going on here and all these ineligible, bogus type of asylum claims, like what was, do you think this program is totally out of control, or what is your view of the program in general?
Well, I think and certainly something that we noted in the report is we do have, it's clear and it's evident that the costs for this program are growing very quickly and growing more quickly than overall federal spending. And I think that's certainly something that's widely recognized.
It's just that given the constraint of processing capacity, there's an increase in beneficiaries because there's more entry into the program than exit in the program.
The primary driver of this expenditure growth, what's the main reason that this expenditure is growing?
Yeah, so we looked at that question in sort of two aspects. So kind of what I would, in a pure economic term, call volume and price. So the growth in beneficiaries and the growth in the cost associated with beneficiaries, and it's coming from both sides. We're seeing that we're expecting a growth in the number of total beneficiaries over the projection horizon as there's a greater number of asylum claimant that would receive coverage from the IFHP. In terms of cost, we also expect there to be growth there, with growth coming closer to what we see on average for expenditure per capita for Canadians, but staying slightly elevated.
So you're basing this on future assumptions of future surges in asylum claimants, is that correct?
No, we actually assume that the inflow of asylum claimants will remain at the level we've seen this year, like in 2025. It's just that given the constraint of processing capacity, there's an increase in beneficiaries because there's more entry into the program than exit in the program.
All right, thank you. Now, there are some, one of the things we deal with in healthcare costs is, the short-term costs, the long-term costs. A lot of diseases that, if not treated earlier, can be treated at a low cost. A lot of disease processes can be treated initially at a low cost. However, if not treated, and allowed to become worse, their problems become more complicated, much more expensive to treat. And this particularly, this would be a financial burden on our healthcare system if these people were to then, become full citizens and stay. Has there been any analysis of the potential consequences of removing these upfront costs in treatment versus the long stream costs of more expensive clinical outcomes in the future?
So that's not an aspect that's part of this analysis. I think it's an interesting point. In terms of the cost per beneficiaries, we're really looking. We don't necessarily make assumption about the type of care, the type of services rendered. We really just look at historical trend and project from there.
50 seconds.
Okay, thank you. Now, I just wanted to clarify, you said that you're assuming that the number of asylum seekers will remain the same?
So the number of new claimants.
New claimants?
Yeah.
And does this take into account the changes in the processes that are going to put downward pressure on the number of, as in C12, that are closing loopholes and decreasing the number of potential asylum seekers?
No, it does not, but it's an analysis we can do for the committee.
I would suggest you do. Thank you. Okay, and I believe that's my time.
Thank you.